Lyra stood at the edge of the landing ramp, staring out at the wide golden fields of Epsilon Ridge. The sun of the planet was larger than Earth's sun, glowing softly like a warm lantern in the sky. The air smelled fresh, like untouched grass and cold metal mixed together. For a moment, she forgot she was part of a research mission and simply admired the strange beauty of this new world. Behind her, the rest of the team prepared their equipment. They were a mix of different species, tall, short, scaled, soft-skinned, winged, and furred. They talked and laughed as they checked sensors and scanners. Lyra was used to seeing aliens, but even after 2 years in the Interstellar Research Corps, this team felt special. Everyone seemed relaxed and excited, except one. At the far corner of the ramp stood Ronan, the only human soldier assigned to the mission. He wore a strange armor suit, large shoulder plates, heavy boots, and a helmet with an old-style visor. The armor looked decades out of date, almost like something from a history museum. Compared to the sleek alien tech around him, his armor looked clumsy and oversized. Lyra tilted her head slightly. She had seen many humans in the Corps, but none dressed like this. "Why does he look like that?" whispered Varix, a thin alien with silver skin. He stood beside her, his long fingers tapping against his scanner. "Is this a human joke?" Lyra chuckled softly. "I don't think so. Maybe he likes old equipment." Behind them, a feathery alien named Ketala laughed. "Look at those boots. I bet he walks slower than a rock. How will he keep up with us?" More small jokes spread through the group. Not cruel ones, just light teasing. Ronan did not react. He simply stood still, checking the small lights on his forearm panel. Silent and calm, like he did not hear anything. Lyra watched him with curiosity. She did not know Ronan well. He joined the mission last minute, assigned by command for team safety. That was common. Research missions always included one trained protector. But usually they blended in, wore normal field suits, and talked to everyone. Ronan, however, stayed quiet and distant. He did not remove his helmet even during the onboarding meeting. He seemed unusual. When the team finally gathered near the ridge entrance, Captain Rillock stepped forward. "All right, everyone," the captain said, his voice sharp but friendly. "Today we begin our first deep scan of Epsilon Ridge. Early readings show rare energy patterns below the ground. We will collect samples, map the tunnels, and return before sunset." The group nodded. Rillock turned to Ronan. "Soldier, you will take rear guard." "Yes, Captain," Ronan replied, his voice deep but calm from inside the helmet. As they started walking, Lyra found herself glancing back at him again and again. Every step he took made a small metallic sound. His armor plates shifted with low clicks. It did not look flexible, yet he moved without trouble. Still, she could not help thinking the same thing the others did. Why was he wearing something that looked like a child's drawing of a hero suit? The team followed a narrow path leading down into a valley. Strange blue plants covered the ground, glowing softly when stepped on. The sunlight reflected off the cliffs, making the air shimmer with gold and blue waves. Lyra walked next to Varix, scanning the plants. "This place feels peaceful," she said. "Peaceful and boring," Varix joked. "I was hoping for something exciting today." From behind them came Ronan's quiet voice. Firm and steady. "Exciting is not always good on alien worlds." His tone was not harsh, just factual. The group went quiet for a moment. Then Ketala whispered to Lyra, "He talks like an old training manual." Lyra tried not to laugh. When they reached the mouth of a large cave at the bottom of the ridge, the golden light disappeared behind them, replaced with a dim blue glow from the crystal-like stones inside the cave walls. The path was wide enough for the people to walk side by side. The ceiling stretched high, showing ancient cracks and marks like something heavy once moved through here. Lyra began recording readings on her tablet. Ronan remained at the back, scanning the shadows. "Why so tense?" Varix called from the front. "Nothing here is alive." "We don't know that yet," Ronan replied. Varix smiled. "Relax, human soldier. This is a simple research trip." Ronan did not respond. He kept watching the walls and ceiling as if expecting something to appear. Lyra found it strange. What was he looking for? After walking deeper into the cave, they reached a large open chamber filled with metallic patterns carved into the floor. The designs were geometric circles, lines, and shapes that repeated like a signal. Ketala crouched down and touched one of the carvings. "These are old. Very old." Rillock nodded. "Possibly pre-civilization. Mark everything. We will send the data to the orbital base." Lyra stepped closer and scanned the shapes. As the data loaded, her screen showed rising energy lines like faint pulses from below. Her eyebrows lifted. "Strange. Something is moving down there." Varix rolled his eyes. "Probably more old rocks." Ronan moved forward for the first time since the cave entrance. He stopped beside Lyra, lowering his helmet slightly like he was studying the floor closely. These are not natural patterns, he said quietly, and the energy pulses are not random. How do you know? Lyra asked. Ronan hesitated, then answered simply. Experience. Before Lyra could ask more, a soft vibration traveled through the ground. Everyone felt it, just a small shake, like something shifting far below. Varix laughed nervously. Maybe the planet is stretching. Ronan's posture changed immediately. He stepped in front of the group, placing his hand on his armor's chest plate. Several small blue lights activated along the suit. Everyone moved back, he said. Rilox frowned. Soldier, this is unnecessary. Another vibration came stronger this time. Dust fell from the ceiling. The metal patterns on the floor glowed faintly. Lyra's heart skipped. Captain, I think he's right. Before they could decide anything, a loud cracking sound echoed through the chamber. One of the lines in the floor split open, releasing a bright flash of light. What is that? Varric shouted. Ronan reacted instantly. He grabbed Lyra by the arm and pushed her back gently, but firmly. Stay behind me, he said. The group hurried backward, confusion turning into panic. The floor kept splitting, forming sharp zigzag lines across the chamber. Blue sparks danced in the air. Rilox called out, everyone, head to the tunnel. Stay calm. But the words barely left his mouth before a tall, thin structure rose slowly from the broken floor like a metallic pillar coming to life. Lyra stared in shock. Captain, that looks like technology. The pillar extended small mechanical arms. Red lights blinked along its surface. Another vibration followed, deeper this time, as if something else was waking up below. Ronan stepped forward again, activating more functions on his armor. The suit hummed softly, as if responding to a signal. Katala gasped. Is that a guardian machine? Ronan did not take his eyes off the pillar. Everyone moved back now. Rilox opened his mouth to argue, but the pillar suddenly emitted a sharp, high-pitched tone. Lyra covered her ears. The walls shook. Dust fell like rain. Ronan raised his arm, and a small blue shield formed around his forearm. It looked old-fashioned compared to alien tech, but the energy inside it pulsed with strength. Lyra's breath caught. The others stared. For the first time, Ronan's armor did not look like a joke. It looked dangerous, protective, alive, still. No one moved. Then the floor cracked again, larger this time, and more metallic shapes began rising from below. Ronan's voice echoed through the chamber. Move. And finally, the team obeyed. The chamber was shaking as the metallic shapes continued to rise from the cracked floor. Dust swirled around, and the glow from the blue patterns on the ground reflected against the walls, creating strange shadows. Lyra's heart raced. She had seen strange machines before in archives and simulations, but nothing like this alive, moving, and aware of their presence. Stay calm, Captain Rilox shouted over the vibrations. We need a plan. Ronan's helmet lights glowed brighter. He moved slowly, deliberately, keeping his body between the team and the strange mechanical figures. No plan will matter if you don't listen, he said firmly. These machines are not friendly. They were designed to protect something, and they see us as intruders. Varix froze. Machines. Protect. What? This is just a cave. Ronan did not answer immediately. He was scanning, analyzing, the blue lights along his armor pulsing like his own heartbeat. No, this is more than a cave. These designs, these signals, they are warnings, left here for anyone who comes close. I told you. The energy readings are too precise to be natural. Lyra stared at him, finally beginning to understand. Perhaps the jokes about his armor had been wrong. Perhaps he wasn't exaggerating. The mechanical shapes stretched taller. Their surfaces gleamed with a strange reflective material, and tiny lights blinked across them like sensors. The taller ones had long arms ending in claw-like instruments, while the smaller ones moved quickly, almost crawling across the cracked floor. They're awakening, Lyra whispered. Unable to tear her eyes away, Ronan nodded, stepping closer. Exactly. And we are in their line of defense. Katala moved back, her wings flaring slightly in alarm. Ronan, what do we do? Your armor. It looks like nothing can touch you, but there are too many of them. Ronan's hands activated several panels on his forearms. Small shields extended outward, forming a protective dome around him. The shields glowed blue, reflecting off the walls and making the machines hesitate for a moment. We can hold them temporarily, but you need to move back farther than this. Captain Rilox frowned. Hold them? With what? You're human. You're one man. Ronan's voice was calm but firm. One human can do more than a team of unprepared researchers if trained and equipped properly. Trust me. Move. Varix muttered under his breath. I wish I could trust that. But he looks ridiculous. Lyra clenched her jaw. She had mocked him too, like everyone else. But now, seeing him stand between the team and something unknown, she felt a spark of doubt. Perhaps there was more to Ronan than they realized. The first of the mechanical figures moved forward aggressively. Its red lights glowed brighter, and it emitted a low hum vibrating through the chamber. Lyra felt the sound in her chest, like a warning. She jumped back instinctively. Ronan raised both hands. The shields expanded, forming a barrier that absorbed the figure's first strike. Sparks flew, hitting the floor, but the shields held. The machines recoiled slightly, as if testing him. Move. Ronan commanded again. Back to the tunnel now. The team scrambled. Lyra grabbed her recorder, sensors, and supplies, keeping close behind Keitala. Dust and debris rained from the ceiling, and the ground continued to shake with each step of the machine's dot as they moved. Lyra glanced back. Ronan was standing firm, his armor now glowing with lines of light that traced intricate patterns along the metal. It was not the clumsy, outdated armor she had mocked before. It was a machine of its own, merging with him, amplifying his strength, and protecting him from danger. Her mouth went dry. I underestimated him. I should have listened. The path to the tunnel was narrow. Only one or two could walk side by side. Captain Rilox was at the rear, trying to organize the group. Keep moving. Don't stop. And stay together. The machines advanced steadily. Their movements were precise, calculated. They weren't chaotic, they were following patterns, hunting intruders. Ronan blocked the nearest mechanical figure with the shields. Sparks flew, and a loud metallic clang echoed through the chamber. Keep going. I'll hold them off. Lyra hesitated. Ronan, wait. No time. He shouted. Go now. Reluctantly, Lyra followed Keitala and the others into the tunnel, their feet sliding on the smooth stone. The walls here were narrower, forcing them to move single file. She could hear Ronan behind her, the metallic sound of his armor moving, the hum of energy shields striking the machines. Every sound reminded her that they were lucky to have him. Once inside the tunnel, they stopped briefly to catch their breath. Lyra turned around. From the narrow entrance, she could see faint blue flashes and hear deep clanging from the chamber. The machines were relentless. This is insane, Varix whispered. Did anyone else on Earth prepare for this? Is this normal? Lyra shook her head. No, that's why we have Ronan. Look at him. He's different. The team moved cautiously down the tunnel. The walls were carved with more patterns, glowing faintly in response to the energy of the chamber. Lyra recorded them all. Something about the carvings seemed to pulse with life, as if they were watching them too. Ronan's voice came over their comm devices. Energy readings show more movement below. The chamber was only the first layer. More could awaken if we go deeper. Captain Rilox frowned. We're here to research, not fight. Maybe we should retreat. Ronan's voice remained calm, but firm. Retreat now, and the machines will follow. They are programmed to prevent intruders from leaving. If you continue forward, we might survive. Lyra looked at the group. Some were frightened, some were unsure. But in her heart, she knew Ronan was telling the truth. He had not overreacted. The armor, the warnings, the calm authority, it all meant he had seen this before, or at least trained for it. The tunnel widened slightly. Small openings in the walls showed glimpses of other chambers, some with metallic structures and strange, glowing symbols. Lyra's curiosity battled with her fear. She wanted to explore, to understand what these guardians were protecting. Are we really going deeper? Keitala asked nervously. Ronan's voice came again. Yes, but stay alert. Do not touch anything unless I allow it. And stay close to the shields. As they moved forward, Lyra noticed tiny markings on the walls similar to the ones in the chamber, but smaller. They glowed faintly, almost like they were alive. She tapped one with her scanner. Data flooded her screen. Energy signatures, movement, some kind of automated logic that responded to their presence. This is incredible, Lyra whispered. These machines, they are smart, not just programmed. They adapt. Ronan's voice came through, soft but clear. Exactly. That is why I warned you. These are not simple guardians. They were created by an advanced civilization, likely to protect something of extreme value. Varix groaned. And we're walking right into their house. Brilliant idea, Lyra. Lyra frowned but kept moving. I trust him, she said quietly. Ronan knows what he's doing. They reached a narrow ledge leading down into a lower cavern. The ground shook slightly, but nothing fell. Lyra looked back toward the entrance. They were already far from safety. She took a deep breath, remembering Ronan's calm demeanor. Somehow, that gave her courage. Ronan's voice guided them. Step carefully. The energy pulses are stronger here. One wrong step and we trigger more guardians. As they descended, small mechanical probes began to appear from the walls. They scanned the group, blinking red briefly before retracting. Lyra's stomach nodded. If one of those machines activated fully, they would be trapped. Ronan moved forward, his shields activating automatically. One probe approached him, and his armor extended a small arm to redirect its scanning beam. Sparks flew, but the probe recoiled harmlessly. Lyra's jaw dropped. He's controlling them. Ronan did not look back. I am not controlling them. I am protecting you. That is my task. The group continued down the ledge. Each step was tense. Every shadow could hide another threat. But slowly, the team began to realize that Ronan's warnings were not exaggerations. The armor was not a joke. He was not ordinary. Finally, they reached a wider platform near the bottom of the ledge. Lyra paused and looked at him in awe. He stood at the edge, shields glowing, armor humming. Completely focused on the unseen threats below. She whispered softly, almost to herself, He's incredible. Ronan's voice came through their comms one last time before they moved forward. Keep your eyes open. And remember, the Guardians only attack if we threaten what they protect. Respect their space, and we survive. For the first time, Lyra truly understood. Ronan's armor, the calm voice, the warnings, they were not jokes. They were a shield between life and death. And she had never been more grateful for a human in her life. The cavern at the bottom of the ledge opened into a vast underground chamber, unlike anything Lyra had ever seen. The ceilings stretched high above them, vanishing into shadows, and strange metallic structures rose from the floor like ancient trees made of steel. Faint, pulsating energy ran along the walls, lighting the chamber with a soft, eerie glow. It was beautiful, but there was something alive in the room, something that made Lyra's stomach twist with unease. Ronan led the team carefully across the floor. His armor hummed with energy, shields glinting as he scanned every corner. He moved deliberately, placing himself between the team and the metallic structures. The lights along his chest plate pulsed faster whenever the sensors picked up movement. Keep close, he ordered. These structures are not stationary. They will respond if provoked. Lyra's curiosity was battling her fear. She wanted to examine the glowing patterns on the walls, to understand the energy flow. But she forced herself to stay behind Ronan. She had learned her lesson. Nothing here was safe without his protection. The team stepped lightly, careful not to touch the smooth metallic floor. Suddenly, a deep rumble echoed through the chamber. The ground beneath them shivered, as though the cavern itself had taken a breath. Lyra's heart skipped a beat. Stay alert, Ronan said, raising his shield. They're waking. Before anyone could react, a section of the metallic floor split open. From the gap rose tall, humanoid machines, their bodies shining with polished metal. Arms long and ending in precise claw-like tools. Red sensors glowed where their eyes would be, scanning the team with an unsettling intelligence. Smaller, spider-like machines crawled along the walls and ceiling, joining the larger ones. Varric staggered back. They're alive. They're not alive, Ronan corrected. They are programmed, but their intelligence is advanced. They adapt, learn, and protect. Anything that threatens what they guard will be destroyed. Ketala shivered. So, they'll attack us? Yes, Ronan said simply. If we make a mistake. The machines advanced slowly, their movements precise, like chess pieces shifting across a board. Lyra could see the power in them, the way they were built for defense, for attack, for strategy. It was terrifying. Ronan didn't hesitate. He stepped forward and extended his arms. Blue shields flared outward from his armor, forming a protective dome that absorbed the first strike of the nearest machine. Sparks flew, the sound of metal striking metal echoing like thunder. The machines paused, recalculating, then continued their advance cautiously. Move, Ronan shouted. Stay behind me. The team hurried back, but the cavern was enormous. There were so many pathways, so many machines rising from the cracks, that retreat felt impossible. Lyra's recorder scanned the walls, mapping the energy patterns. Every pulse, every glow, seemed to react to their presence. The machines were linked to the environment, they were part of the cave itself. Lyra turned her head and saw Ronan, standing firm in front of them. Shields glowing brighter with every movement of the machines. His armor was no longer clunky or old-fashioned, it was alive. A weapon and a barrier combined. Each pulse of light along his chest plate seemed to synchronize with his heartbeat, as if the suit had its own intelligence. For a moment, Lyra forgot to breathe. She had always thought of humans as small, fragile creatures compared to aliens like Varric or Ketala. But here, Ronan was everything a human could be. Strong, calm, unshakable, and brilliant. The captain shouted again. Ronan, how long can you hold them? I don't know, he replied. But we need to move forward. The center of the chamber has a control structure. If we reach it, we can deactivate, or at least distract the Guardians. Forward. Varric said nervously. Into their lair? Are you crazy? Into their lair, Ronan corrected. Yes, that is exactly where we must go. The team advanced cautiously, staying behind Ronan's protective shield. Lyra's heart raced as she followed, glancing at the glowing structures and the strange energy flowing through the cavern. Every step was tense. Every shadow could hide a machine ready to strike. Suddenly, one of the spider-like machines leaped from the wall, landing directly in their path. Its red sensors glowed as it prepared to strike. Ronan reacted instantly, raising his shield. The blast of energy from the machine struck the barrier, and blue light flared as sparks flew. Lyra gasped. It's too strong. Ronan blocked the attack with ease. Keep moving. Don't stop. The team sprinted forward as more machines emerged from cracks in the floor. Ronan held the line, absorbing the attacks, pushing the machines back with precise shield strikes. He did not panic. Every movement was controlled, measured, confident. Lyra couldn't believe what she was seeing. How can one human do this? She whispered. How can one human stop so many machines? She glanced at him again. The armor was damaged in places, scratches, scorch marks, and dents, but he moved like he was untouchable. His arms extended, activating small energy beams from his forearms that deflected or redirected the machine's strikes. The machines adjusted, but he was always one step ahead. Finally, they reached the center of the chamber. There was a large, vertical structure made of polished metal. Strange glyphs and glowing lines ran across it, pulsing in a rhythmic pattern. Lyra could feel the energy vibrating through her bones. This must be it, Ronan said. This is the control structure. If we disable it or at least interrupt the energy flow, the Guardians will stop or slow down. How do we do that? Captain Rilox asked. It looks impossible. Ronan removed a small panel from his chest plate and pulled out a device that connected to his suit. Lights flashed on the device, scanning the control structure. I can synchronize with the energy flow. I can delay the Guardians long enough for you all to escape. Lyra's eyes widened. Delay them, that's brilliant. Ronan nodded, eyes fixed on the glowing lines of the structure. He extended his arms and touched the surface. His armor began to hum louder, blue light racing along every seam. Sparks danced from his forearms as energy connected between him and the control structure. The Guardians froze mid-step. The spider-like machines stopped, suspended in midair. The taller humanoid machines halted, sensors blinking red and orange as they recalculated. Lyra felt a wave of relief wash over her hue. You're controlling them, she whispered in awe. No, Ronan corrected, his voice calm. I am not controlling them. I am protecting you. That is all. Lyra looked at him again, truly seeing him for the first time. The quiet human soldier, the one who had seemed so ordinary and almost foolish in his old armor, was not ordinary at all. He was extraordinary. His calm strength, his intelligence, and his bravery were unlike anything she had imagined. The captain finally realized it too. Ronan, you are remarkable. I am not remarkable, Ronan said softly. I am prepared. That is all. Humans survive by being prepared. That is why we are still here. Lyra felt a deep pride swelling inside her. She had always believed in human potential, but seeing it in action, seeing one human stand against an entire army of ancient machines made her heart race. This was the meaning of HFY, humans, underestimated by the galaxy, capable of feats beyond imagination when the moment demanded it. Suddenly, the chamber shook again. One of the larger machines tried to break free of the delayed energy flow. Sparks flew from its joints, red sensors flashing violently. Ronan adjusted his armor, extending a new shield pattern to stabilize the structure. The machine froze, caught once more. Lyra felt sweat run down her back, but also a sense of awe. She had never seen bravery like this, never seen calm intelligence paired with such raw power. The human in front of her was not a soldier in a joke of armor, he was a guardian, a protector. A human shining brighter than any alien she had ever known. The team finally reached the edge of the control structure. They could see a faint exit tunnel on the other side of the chamber. Lyra glanced at Ronan. He nodded slightly, eyes still focused on the machines. Go, he said softly. Move quickly. I'll hold them until you are safe. Lyra hesitated. She wanted to stay, to fight beside him, but she knew better. She grabbed her recorder and ran, following the others into the tunnel. Behind her, she could hear the hum of energy, the clang of metal, and the steady, unshakable presence of the human soldier who had become more than anyone could imagine. As the team disappeared into the tunnel, Lyra looked back one last time. Ronan stood alone, glowing blue shields surrounding him, facing the Guardians. In that moment, she understood a truth she could never forget. Humans were not weak. Humans were not ordinary. And sometimes, the quietest, most underestimated among them could change the fate of everyone around them. The team ran through the narrow tunnel, their footsteps echoing off the smooth stone walls. Lyra's heart pounded, but her mind could not stop replaying the scene in the chamber below. Ronan had stood alone, holding back an army of ancient machines. And not a single person had doubted for long that he could do it. Varix was breathing heavily. I can't believe what I just saw, he admitted. He wasn't just a soldier. He was incredible. Kadala nodded, still wide-eyed. I thought the armor was a joke. I even laughed at him. But now, I don't know what to say. Lyra stayed silent. She couldn't find words either. The quiet, armored human she had mocked was not just strong, he was extraordinary. Calm, precise, unshakable. And for some reason, he had held his true power hidden beneath that old-looking armor. Captain Rillock stopped at a small opening in the tunnel and motioned for the team to rest for a moment. The walls were warm from the faint energy of the underground chambers, and the air smelled faintly of metal and stone. Lyra leaned against the wall, catching her breath. He didn't need to do all that, she said quietly. He could have left us to manage, but he didn't. He stayed to protect us. Varix whistled softly. Protect us. He held back an army of machines. One human. Against all of them. Katala wrapped her wings around herself. I've never seen anything like it. Even the elders in my city never speak of humans like this. They are always underestimated, but this is something else entirely. Lyra glanced back toward the chamber entrance. Do you think he'll be okay? Captain Rillock sighed. He's human. And apparently, more than human. I've seen soldiers before, but never like him. That armor. It's more than it looks. I've read about prototype suits, but I never thought I'd see one in action. And not just in action. He's controlling it, merging with it. That's remarkable. Lyra's curiosity grew stronger. She had to see the truth herself. Do you think he will take it off? She asked quietly. Rillox looked at her strangely. Take it off? Why? I want to see who he really is, Lyra said. She couldn't explain why, but she felt drawn to the mystery of the human soldier. She wanted to know what kind of person could wear armor like that, stay so calm under impossible circumstances, and protect a whole team of aliens without hesitation. The team continued down the tunnel, and after several minutes, they reached a small, dimly lit chamber. The air was cooler here, and the faint hum of distant machines echoed through the stone walls. Lyra spotted Ronan at the far end, kneeling beside a damaged section of his armor. Sparks flickered from a small power cell as he adjusted the connections. He had removed his helmet, revealing his face for the first time. Lyra froze. She hadn't expected this. His features were strong and calm, with a focused intensity that radiated confidence. His skin was marked with faint lines and glowing threads implants, designed to enhance his abilities. His eyes, bright and clear, seemed to reflect a quiet strength that went beyond any machine or armor. Varix gasped. He's augmented. Katala whispered, those markings, they're not natural. He's enhanced. Some kind of advanced human technology. Lyra stepped closer, careful not to startle him. Ronan didn't look up immediately. He was focused on repairing the damaged armor. But as he worked, Lyra noticed how precise and deliberate his movements were. Every adjustment was perfect, every action calculated. The armor was not just a suit, it was an extension of him, connected to his body and mind. Finally, Ronan stood and looked at the team. He had replaced the damaged power cell, and the blue light along the armor began to glow steadily again. He raised his hands and activated the shields, which flickered briefly before stabilizing. Lyra took a deep breath. Ronan, why didn't you tell us? Why did you hide all of this? He paused, then spoke quietly yet firmly. I did not hide it. I only wear it as needed. Earth does not show its full strength unless it is required. The armor, the enhancements, they are for protection, not for display. Not to impress others, only to protect life when danger is real. Lyra nodded slowly, finally understanding. So, the armor was never a joke. Ronan shook his head. Never. It is a shield, yes, but also a reminder. To be prepared, to be cautious, to be ready for what the galaxy might throw at us. I did not need to prove myself. I only needed to act when necessary. Varix took a step forward, awe in his voice. I misjudged you. I thought it was outdated. A joke. But now I see. It was incredible. You are incredible. Ronan's expression remained calm. I am not extraordinary. I am human. And humans survive by being prepared, by using every tool available, by thinking ahead. That is why we endure. That is why we are strong. Lyra's chest swelled with pride. She had always believed in human potential, but seeing it realized in front of her, in someone she had once thought ordinary, was humbling. You really are remarkable, she said softly. Ronan's gaze shifted slightly, but his voice remained even. The remarkable part is not the armor or the enhancements. The remarkable part is the choice to act, to protect, to persevere, to endure. That is what humans do. That is what any living being can do, if they choose to rise to the challenge. For a moment, silence filled the chamber. The team absorbed the truth. They had laughed, mocked, and underestimated him. Now, they realized the error of their assumptions. Humanity's strength was quiet, hidden, and formidable. Lyra stepped closer, studying the glowing threads beneath his skin. These implants, they are advanced. They enhance your strength? Yes, he said simply. But they are not the most important part. The training, the preparation, the ability to remain calm under pressure. That is what matters. The armor and implants are tools. I am the operator. Humans survive because we adapt, and we endure. We protect what we value. That is our real strength. Ketala shook her head slowly. I've never met anyone like you. Not even the warriors from my homeworld. You are human, and yet, more than human. Ronan's gaze softened slightly, but he did not smile. No, I am human. I only do what is necessary. Lyra took a deep breath. For the first time, she truly understood. The quiet soldier in clumsy-looking armor was not a joke, not weak, not ordinary. He was a guardian, a protector of life, calm in the face of danger, strong beyond expectations. And beneath the armor, he was human. She felt a sense of pride and awe that she could barely put into words. The truth of his identity, the truth of his strength was more than impressive. It was inspiring. Ronan finally deactivated the shields, letting the soft blue glow fade. He turned to the team, standing tall and calm. We continue. There is more to explore, and the Guardians may still respond. But now you know. You know who I am. And you know that humanity is not to be underestimated. The team nodded, their fear replaced with newfound respect. Even Varix, who had doubted him from the start, seemed humbled. Lyra felt a warm surge of determination. If humans could achieve this, if one human could hold back impossible machines and survive, then perhaps there was nothing they could not accomplish. The galaxy might underestimate them, but they had a secret weapon: preparation, courage, and the quiet strength of humans who never gave up. As the group prepared to move forward into the deeper chambers of the cavern, Lyra glanced at Ronan one last time. The armor had protected him, yes, but it was the person beneath it, the calm, focused human operator, who had truly impressed her. She knew she would never forget this lesson. Never judge a human by appearances. Never underestimate preparation. And never doubt the quiet strength that hides in plain sight. The team followed Ronan deeper into the underground maze. The glowing energy lines and metallic guardians faded behind them, but the memory of his actions remained vivid in their minds. They knew now that the armor was more than it seemed. The human beneath it was extraordinary. Not because of technology, but because of courage, intelligence, and the determination to protect life no matter the cost. And as they moved forward, Lyra silently promised herself she would remember this truth forever. Humanity was not just capable. Humanity was formidable. Humanity, when underestimated, could rise above impossible odds, and sometimes it could save the galaxy itself. The team emerged from the winding tunnels into a cavern lit by a faint golden glow, the sunlight filtering through cracks high above. Dust still hung in the air from the collapse of the underground chambers, and Lyra could feel the hum of energy that lingered from the machines they had encountered. Ronan's armor, now fully repaired, gleamed softly in the light. He had returned to his usual quiet stance, scanning the surroundings with calm precision. Despite the chaos they had just survived, he looked as composed as ever, almost as if nothing had happened. The team gathered around him, still catching their breath. Varix's silver skin shimmered with sweat, and Ketala's wings trembled slightly. Even Captain Rilox, normally stoic, looked impressed and a little uneasy. I still can't believe it, Varix muttered. One human, against all those machines. How is that possible? Ronan lowered his helmet slightly. His face was calm, expression neutral. Humans survive because we prepare, adapt, and act when necessary. That is all. Technology, strength, speed, those are tools. The choice to act wisely is what truly matters. Lyra stepped forward, still catching her breath. She had watched him, studied him, and finally understood. Ronan, you didn't just protect us. You saved us. You faced impossible odds and didn't falter even once. You made the impossible look possible. He shook his head slightly. I only did what was necessary. That is all any human or any being can do. We endure because we must, and we rise because we have no other choice. The team walked slowly toward the exit. moving over the cracked stone floors and past the faintly glowing patterns that lined the walls. Every step reminded them of what they had just escaped. Lyra could still see faint traces of the Guardian's energy pulses in the ground, like footprints left by an invisible force. I have to admit, Captain Rillock said quietly. I judge you, Ronan. I thought your armor was outdated, a joke. I was wrong, You are more than anyone could have imagined. Ronan did not smile, but his voice was calm. Judgment does not matter. Only action does. Remember this, strength is not always visible. Sometimes the quietest, smallest, or seemingly ordinary among us carry the power to protect worlds. That is the truth of humanity. Lyra felt a sense of pride swell in her chest. She had always admired human courage, but seeing it in action, seeing one human stand alone against impossible odds was different. It was inspiring. It was a living proof of what she had only read in history books and records. Humans were underestimated for a reason. They were quiet, patient, and dangerous when necessary. As the team reached the open fields of Epsilon Ridge, Lyra finally allowed herself to relax. The air smelled fresh again, and the sunlight bathed them in warmth. They were safe for now, but the memory of the underground guardians stayed vivid in her mind. Keitala shook her head, wings rustling softly. I can't stop thinking about what we saw. Ronan, you're human, but not like any human I've ever known. You're extraordinary. He looked at her calmly. I am not extraordinary. I only choose to act. That is the difference between surviving and failing. Varix, still wide-eyed, muttered, I think humans are dangerous, in the best possible way. Lyra smiled faintly. Yes, but the galaxy doesn't always see it. That is why humans can rise above expectations. They are underestimated, and that is their advantage. When the moment comes, we act, we endure, we protect. That is humanity's hidden strength. The captain nodded slowly. I think we've learned a valuable lesson today. Never underestimate a human. Never assume ordinary appearances reflect actual strength. Ronan remained silent, scanning the horizon. His armor glinted in the sunlight, a quiet reminder that the battle they had faced was not over. The galaxy was full of unknown threats, and humans were ready. For a moment, Lyra reflected on the journey. She thought about the narrow tunnels, the glowing energy lines, and the massive guardians they had faced. She remembered the fear, the adrenaline, and the way Ronan had stood, unflinching, between them and danger. She realized now that this was more than a mission. It was a lesson in humility, courage, and the quiet power of humanity. You think the rest of the galaxy knows what humans are capable of? She asked quietly. Ronan's gaze shifted to her, calm and unwavering. Some may know. Most do not, and that is fine. Humanity does not need recognition. Humanity only needs to endure, to rise to the challenge, and to protect what matters. That is enough. Lyra nodded slowly, understanding the truth. Humans did not boast. Humans did not exaggerate. They prepared. They acted. And when the moment demanded it, they became unstoppable. The group continued across the ridge, the golden fields stretching endlessly before them. Lyra's recorder was full of data, maps, and scans. But her mind was filled with something else, the story of one human, quiet and unassuming, who had faced the impossible and succeeded. I'll never forget this, she whispered to herself. I'll never forget what humans can do. Ronan noticed her quiet words. You don't need to remember me. Remember the lesson. Remember that the quiet ones, the underestimated, the ordinary, sometimes carry the power to protect worlds. That is what matters. The team finally reached the landing site where their ship waited. The engines hummed softly, ready to lift them from Epsilon Ridge and back into space. Lyra took one last look at the golden fields, the distant mountains, and the faint energy trails that lingered from the guardians below. Do you think they'll be okay? She asked, glancing at the underground chamber. They will endure, Ronan replied. They are ancient, but even they have limits. And we have humans. That is the difference. The team boarded the ship, taking one last look at the planet they had explored. Lyra felt a sense of awe mixed with pride. She knew now that humans were underestimated for a reason, but that underestimation was a secret weapon. Humanity's strength was quiet, hidden, and powerful beyond measure. As the engines lifted them into the sky, Lyra glanced at Ronan once more. His armor gleamed in the sunlight, and for a moment, he looked like a statue, a symbol of courage, preparation, and the hidden power of a human being. Varix broke the silence. I think I understand now. Humans are remarkable, even when they seem ordinary. Even when they look weak, they are strong in ways the galaxy cannot always see. Keitala nodded. Yes, and we are lucky to have one of them with us. Lyra smiled, her eyes fixed on Ronan. she realized something important. Strength was not always loud. Courage was not always visible. And humans, quiet and underestimated, could rise above impossible odds when the moment demanded it. The galaxy might not always recognize it. It might underestimate humanity. But those who stood beside a human in the right moment would see the truth. Humans endure. Humans adapt. And humans protect. Humanity's hidden strength was a force unlike any other. As the ship soared above Epsilon Ridge, the golden fields disappearing beneath them, Lyra made a promise to herself. She would remember this day, remember Ronan, and remember the lesson. Never judge a human by appearances. Never doubt preparation, courage, and the quiet strength that hides in plain sight. Because when humans rise, they can change the galaxy. And sometimes, the quietest human in the galaxy is the one who protects worlds, holds back armies, and shows everyone, alien and human alike, the true meaning of strength. For Lyra, for the team, and for the galaxy, this day was a revelation. Humanity had shown its hidden power, and the lesson was clear. Underestimate humans at your own peril. The stars stretched ahead of them, endless and full of possibilities. Lyra knew one thing for certain: with humans in the galaxy, hope, courage, and resilience would always endure. And sometimes, one quiet human soldier, standing firm in old-looking armor, could show the universe what true strength really meant. Ronan, quiet and calm as ever, remained at the front, a living reminder of humanity's hidden strength. And the galaxy would never forget.